So then MJ leaves, and then Scottie takes over, and we could talk about all of that. But like they highlighted in the documentary last night, the game where Scottie chose to sit himself out, because Phil Jackson called the game-winning play for Toni Kukoc, and they showed like a little montage of all the game winners Toni Kukoc had hit. That he was a big shot hitter. He hits the shot. It's okay to put it in his hands. So like, but like I also like, you think about Pitt that season, like third in MVP voting, first or second on the team in every statistical category. If Mike was on that team, damn sure nobody's shooting that ball except Mike. So I can kind of see why Pitt took it as a slight, that he was like inbound, not even on the court, like as a different option, inbounding the ball.
Right.
I could see that.
It kind of got to his head. Like I feel like for a second there, it really, and that's why like Cartwright gave the speech after he said, Scottie cried on the spot and apologized on the spot because he knew what he realized what just happened. He became so good. He became such an alpha. But the triangle was really the glue for that team. The fact that they had already been running it, obviously, but they still had good pieces in place to run it effectively. You saw all those passing possessions where it's just good spacing, good passing, good, like, and you have to understand that too. It's like, like if Michael was here, you would give Michael the ball. Like, it wouldn't matter how many shots Tony hit this year. It wouldn't have mattered. Right. If Michael was here, you'd be giving Mike the ball.
It's funny because I'm watching the documentary last night and my wife is watching it. And the first thing she says after Scottie sits on the bench, she's like, but doesn't that make sense though? They know the ball's going to come to him, so they're going to lock him up. So they should run the play for Kukoc. And I'm just like, that does make sense. And that would be the time where like Scottie would kind of defer. But to you guys' point, he was the man. Like if MJ was there, MJ was taking the shot on those.
Yeah. And let me say what Phil Jackson probably could not just say to his face. You're not Michael. That's what it comes down to. Like you're great. You are great in your own right. But we're talking about what was it? Maybe a few seconds left on the clock. So if we're just giving it to you you could have run a set play for Scottie, but in that amount of time, you're looking at doing what he did, which was like a design play where it's one pass and whoever gets it has to be the one to shoot it. So you either have to take one or two dribbles to create or just turn and shoot. So that takes a certain amount of shot making skill.
Scottie was literally the best passer on that floor, for the Bulls. So it would make sense for him to inbound the ball.
He wasn't an elite shot creator. So it's not that much disrespect to you. Like it seems disrespectful at the time, but it's like, the way for you to be Michael in this scenario is to inbound the ball. Make the pinpoint pass for me because I know you'll dime him. And let's win the game. I love that Kukoc hit the shot anyway. That's what you call basketball poetry right there. That's Phil Jackson saying like, and look, you saw Phil. He's like, oh, all right, peeps on. Oh, yeah, come in, throw this pass for me. Like, next man up. Because I'm still my thing is gonna work. Like right. I could use you, but this isn't about you. Watch this work.
Yeah, I know Scottie was sick. That's one thing he missed out on is like a direct camera pan to his face after they hit the shot. Like today, we would bury him for that.
Oh man, Twitter would be out of control. And you know what? At that time, wasn't Scottie already talking about renegotiating like the next season? Yeah, so it was a combination of all of that. Look, I'm trying to get paid. They're not giving me the ball in this late game situation. He probably just felt like, look, another situation where I'm seen as, scum or whatever. Like they just don't value me as I think I should be valued.
Yeah, no, he just does deserve a lot of credit. Like they won 55 games on a roster with less talent than what, Jordan's teams ever had. And, they used him more. He didn't have like a real strong second fiddle. So to have Scottie for 7 years at $2 million is definitely a huge proponent of how the Bulls were able to even, be a legacy.
What better way to win a championship than to have a Hall of Fame player that's underpaid on your roster? I mean, when you talk about like what you can do with the rest of the spots, like is insurmountable.
If you think about it, that's the core. Yeah, that's the core of pretty much every dynasty is someone is critically underpaid at some point. Like Curry, he didn't get that max second contract because there were still questions about his ankle.
Yeah, he signed the 5 for 55.
Like boom, discount. The Spurs,
And
they took pay cuts. Dirk took pay cuts when they won that championship. You could go to other sports. Tom Brady has been taking pay cuts forever. That's the way it works.
Scottie Pippen is next to Robin, the superhero himself. Like those are the two top people you think of as far as sidekick, partner, number two, dynamic duo, whatever you want to call it. Like Scottie Pippen is literally, I mean, he's the best. Somebody said it on there. He's the best number two of all time.
If he played during his prime, like just adjacent to Jordan somewhere else, I don't even know what team to hypothetically put him on. But like if you put him with like a Barkley or something like that, you give him somebody who's like, a little bit lower than his level maybe. Does he get a couple championships? Do you think he's a tier 1 guy? Like, can he lead a team to a championship?
If you're giving him like a Barkley, I mean, if you take a Pippen away from Mike, and then you add a Barkley,
give him another Hall of Famer.
You gotta give somebody a little worse.
Yeah.
Barkley's too good. It would have to be like, hypothetically, let's take GP off the Sonics and let's put Scottie with Kemp. I think they get close. I think they still lose though. And for that same thing, Martin said earlier, he's not Mike. Yeah, and I feel like when it comes to nut crunching time, you need that alpha guy to not only create for others but create for themselves. Whether it's a Shaq that's down low that's gonna bully, or it's a MJ or Kobe on the perimeter that's gonna get whatever shot they want. And Scottie can do it within the flow of the game. I'm just not sure we have like all the evidence that he can consistently at the end say, give me the ball and move out my way.
I'm one of those of the mindset that Scottie, and look, I'm not going to say all the way Michael made Scottie or anything, but I don't believe that he would have been as good had he not played with Michael all those years. So if he doesn't get that time with Michael, I don't necessarily think he becomes the same level player even. I mean,
I think, to your point, I do think he does become the same defensively. Because
probably.
I think he's naturally gifted on that end of the floor, but offensively, I think, to your point, I'm just not sure he has that leeway on another team to be able to create the way he was on the Bulls. And let's face it, the triangle was perfect for him.
He started to evolve, especially in that year with those years without Michael. And Phil's, talked about it some. Like he was doing, and he was playing more of his natural position. He went back to playing point guard. Sometimes I've even heard people like compare LeBron more to a Scottie than Michael. Just because of like that all around versatility aspect. Kobe's more of like the offensive put points up scorer, even though LeBron scores plenty of points. But we all kind of know what that distinction is, just in terms of like your nature, like what you look to do first. And LeBron is kind of like the magic. I've heard some people say Scottie in that sense. And I think it's only because, again, I think Scottie kind of gets underestimated when you talk about like the point forward era, who really started to usher in like that point forward era for 6'7", 6'8" and above to be handling the ball and facilitating consistently.